Mountains are still being moved. Strongholds are still being moved. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. And bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. 'Cause God, we believe. Yes, we can see. Wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do.
viewers, welcome to Casa Move on Kasi TV. I am PAULA BENJI Anum, your host for today. This is the first episode of the Casa Move show. Casa Move is all about Casa, who we are, what we do, and everything that goes on in our circles. This is the very first episode and I am excited to be taking this journey with you. I hope you are. Casa Move is proudly sponsored by Red Butterfly Millinery. If you're looking for beautifully crafted fascinators, hats, scrunchy headbands, floral headbands, everything bridal, Red Butterfly has got you covered. You can locate them at Jowulu, close to Fiesta Royal, the old Channel R building, or contact them on 024 01 99 716. 024 01 99 716. As I said earlier, this is the first episode and I cannot wait to show you what we have in stock for you. But for now, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is still Casa Move on Kasi TV. You can also join us on Facebook at Kasi TV, proudly brought to you by Red Butterfly Millinery. Our guests for today are two wonderful men of God who have served Casa from their student days till today, and they are still serving. If you had the opportunity to meet them in person, you will know how wonderful they are and how well they have impacted young lives in Casa. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Reverend Emmanuel Jensi and Elder Aaron Sango Nyakute. You're welcome to Casa Move.
Thank you.
I love your outfits.
Thank you. You're looking gorgeous.
Thank you very much. How is everything?
Oh wow, it's been good by the grace of God.
Well, I have got the opportunity to meet you personally and I know a lot about you, but for the sake of our viewers, can you please give us a little introduction about yourselves?
Okay, all right. My name is Reverend Emmanuel Jensi. I am the National Coordinator for Casa, and I completed University for Development Studies. Yeah, I did my first and the second degree over there.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I was the former president for the Casa.
Interesting.
For Development Studies. Yeah.
What
and
about you, Elder?
So I'm Aaron Sango Nyakute. I'm a product of KNUST, where I was also a CASA member and rose to become a president as well.
Oh, okay, you were both presidents. That's
and I
amazing.
think it was around the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome once again
Thank
to
you.
Casa Move. Now, I understand that during your campus days, you were both presidents. Now, can you tell us what the experience was like?
Wow. Okay. For me, it was mixed feeling because I was, I think, privileged to be part of a team of 4 who started a branch over there. And by then, the campus was a new campus, and we were starting a new group on a new campus. So it wasn't easy to do, and it was just work. And I think it has also shaping my life, my spiritual life, and the way I do my things up to date.
So if I understand you, you were actually starting Casa over there. Yes. So how were you able to juggle the school work with church work, actually building Casa? Because it will be very stressful.
Very stressful. But I think everything boils on planning, proper planning. So you have to plan your time well, the time to use for God's work, the time to use for your academic works. And you know, my program was a program that demanded a lot. Yeah, I did development planning.
Oh, so interesting.
A lot of reading, a lot of research. And those days we were not having Google. So most of the things you have to go to a library, read around. So, but with proper planning, we were able to go through. Half time that we went around. And we had a very big campus. The whole of Wa campus is the Wa township.
Okay.
Yeah, so going around for visitations and other things demanded a lot of time, but by the grace of God and proper planning and with prayer, we were able to go through.
What about you, Elder?
Well, it was a great experience. I entered university as somebody who was very passionate for God and the things of God. And what made it interesting for me on campus KNUST was that I met a group of young men who were so much also on fire for God. And so it was seamless for me to just transition into the things of God on campus. It was quite an interesting experience. I give my everything as far as I think I'm concerned. I serve God. I serve the church. Yeah, and I think I wasn't a bad student.
Okay, so you would say that you handle things well, schoolwork and church work at the same time.
I think so. There was need to make sacrifices. I have to be very sincere. I think that the sacrifices I made were also worthwhile. And I want to encourage everybody who takes on the work of God on campus, study to be a good student and all that, but where there is need to make sacrifices, sometimes just go for it.
So what you're saying is it was worth it.
It was really
giving all
worth
your
it.
time and everything to God on campus while studying.
It was.
Reverend, would you also say it was worth it?
Oh, sure. God has blessed me out of all the things that we did on campus, all the sacrifices. If today I sit here as the national coordinator, it's an indication of the blessings God has given us. And I don't think it's because of anything extreme or extraordinary about my life. It's because probably some of the things that God did, we did on campus, was an indication of the fact that we love God. So he considered them and probably said, hey, he's worth using.
Okay. So what was your reaction when you first got to know that you've been appointed coordinator, Reverend?
Wow. Okay, so on that fateful afternoon, I had taken my wife to market.
Okay.
So on my way coming, I had a call from the administrator, and he broke the news to me. So Miss Feeling.
Oh, okay.
Wow, can I wear these shoes? And because knowing the challenges ahead and the former coordinator, what he's made up of, I was like, wow. So is this something that I can do? But quickly, I remembered that I can do all things.
Okay, what about you, Elder?
I would say it was a mixed feeling as well. Being cognizant of the fact that there is a lot of work to do at Casa. Having become a student leader while I was on campus and knowing the terrain, I knew there was a lot of work. Well, I was called to handle a relatively smaller jurisdiction, Greater Accra, and that was another sort of challenge because I didn't school here, and I have barely settled in Accra. So it was more like, okay, it's a new terrain for me. But I was excited that it was an opportunity to continue what I had been doing back on campus KNUST.
Okay.
So here we are. Yeah.
So how long have you been in office?
Reverend, I think that's approximately 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
Approximately.
Oh, okay, 2 years for the two of you.
Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. So what would you say was the state of affairs in Casa when you first assumed office, Reverend?
Oh, okay. All right, so, you know, we took over at the time that COVID-19 was reigning. So it was very difficult to determine the state of the various campuses.
Oh, okay.
And Casa as a whole, by then, Reverend has done a lot in putting together the whole team and some of the campuses, bring them together. But at this moment, there seems to be no structure from the national to the various branches, and also our membership. We're losing a lot of members, and most of the branches were collapsing, especially those that were far from Accra. So when we took over, in fact, the complaints kept coming, and like I said, because of the COVID pandemic, it was very difficult going around to ascertain first-hand information.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to really point out the actual state as at then, but I think it wasn't as we see today.
Oh,
That is
okay.
what I can say.
Okay, Elder, you also had the same experience.
I think so, and the Reverend has put it rightly. I mean, Casa has been in existence for over 2 decades, as at the time we took over, and you would have expected that would have gone a certain mileage beyond where we were. Truth be told, Reverend Osei Adankwa, like he said, and his team did marvelously, but there were still highs to go. So yes, things to do with structure, And there are some chapters you virtually have no idea what they're about. I mean, they're too far away from where you are and all that. Yeah, so I think basically that was it. Those were the state of the situation as at the time we took over. But I think things have improved. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when you took... Oh, okay.
Not cutting you short, but I think we can look at it from 3 different ways,
okay.
broader ways, which we can really talk to specifics. When we took over, like we said, both of us spoke on the fact that there was no structure. So there was no structure that we were dealing with. So everything centered on Reverend Oseo, and all the chapters reported to him. That is for the structure. We had no constitution as at then. So each branch was operating with its own constitution. That is also with constitution. And you know, constitution is something that could govern the group. And so each branch had its own constitution. And then when we talk of membership, numbers in terms of branches and in terms of membership, most of the branches we had known to have that large membership. It wasn't as we expected. And the members were diminishing, they kept diminishing. And most of the branches kept, I don't want to use the word collapsing, but they were missing years along the line before we came.
And I would like to add one thing. So Christ Apostolic Church is an organization. We have the body of Christ at large. And if you know our history, you would know that we are, I mean, we love to say, and we pride ourselves in the fact that we are the first Pentecostal church. So we've been around for a long time. And so we would have expected that our level of, I mean, the extent to which we've been existing would commensurate with our popularity. Okay. But we also found out that, yes, Casa, I mean, CAZ as a church is known and all that, but on campus, the level of popularity and how people would easily affiliate with us was one of the things that we saw was on the minimal. So I think one of the things as an administration we considered was, how do we change this narrative? How do we write a better story for people to know more about us and to be the kind of church we are in the student campus ministry we should be?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. All right, viewers, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Casa Move on Kasi TV, proudly brought to you by Red Butterfly Millinery. Now, before we went on the break, you were discussing how the state of affairs in Casa was not actually how you pictured it to be when you assumed office. What were some of the things you put in place to change the state of affairs in Casa at that moment, Reverend? Okay,
thank you very much. I think at this stage, let me quickly point out that one of the issues that I think didn't support the growth of Casa and the promotion of Casa by then was the kind of constitution that the church had as a whole.
Okay.
Because by then, the church didn't make room in the constitution for regional coordinators. So everything, like I said, was on one person, Reverend Oseo. And by then too, he was
that was the former
the former coordinator,
national coordinator.
Exactly.
Okay.
Very hardworking minister of God. And he was at the same time heading a very big church, Family Worship Center, Sakumono.
Oh, okay.
And he's the first minister to begin that concept as well. So, you know, the workload and the constitution were all things that didn't help him. So I would say that the first step that helped the growth of Casa, I wouldn't say is our coming in. But I would say that is the constitution that Reverend Oseo supported, which is the new constitution, the aspect that made room for regional coordinators. So now I sit here with my colleague coordinator who is managing Greater Accra for me, and we have other 8 coordinators in all the regions who are managing other regions for us. So certainly that tells you that there's a reduction of load on the national coordinator. Yes. And when we took over to, like we rightly pointed, we sat down, we saw the challenges, we saw the cause, we managed to identify some of the causes. We realized that we needed structure. We needed structure immediately. So now the structure that we kept in place is to have, aside the regional coordinators, is to have student secretariats. That is for the students. So we built a system right from up to the bottom. So we have National Student Secretariat, who works with the National CASA Coordinator. And we have regional centers of excellence who are also working with the regional coordinators. And then we have zones. So we have 2 zones. We have the southern zone and the northern zone. Periodically they meet, they discuss matters of interest, and then they plan for themselves. And then putting the structure aside, we also realized that quickly we needed to get some constitution, a unified constitution, because we realized that everyone was doing whatever pleases him or her at their various branches. Okay, so we needed a kind of written document, binding document that will also reflect the visions, the aspirations of the church. I mean Christ Apostolic Church.
Okay.
Yeah, so we came out with a unified constitution. We don't want to say it's a new constitution, but we say a unified constitution. So we pulled together the constitutions across the country. Legon, UCC, Tech, UDS, UMAT, what have you. And then we picked the positives and we kept them together. And then we had a unified constitution. So I'll talk of these 2, and I'll say that they are the fundamental thing that helped our work. That is not to say that we didn't work hard, but these were, let me say, vehicles that we moved on. And I think my brother will want to add.
So, like Reverend said, the first thing we did was to diagnose the problem. Okay, so troubleshooting is essential. We couldn't have just started putting things in place if we didn't understand the situation on the ground. So that's one thing I want to commend him for. This was a new team, and he was leading us. Okay, so I remember the very first meeting, he shared this document, and it's like he's done a background. I mean, and I remember him telling us that this was some work that the team has sat down to do over a long period, and was now presenting them the kind of problems. And then we discussed what would be the immediate solutions that we can prefer. Let me add one thing that was very critical in our early days. It was dialoguing with various stakeholders. Okay, so one of the stakeholders we identified as very critical to the success of CASA was our alumni. So one of the things, apart from what that he has said, which we did, was to build some kind of relationship or a dialogue with the alumni of the various chapters. I remember one of the very first activities we did was alumni consultative meeting across the various regions, where we sat and said, guys, okay, you have been there before, how can we move this beyond where we are now? And I think that was one of the very significant steps we took. We also had dialogue sessions with our territorial heads, apostles, and anybody we deemed matter when it comes to the agenda of CASA. So I would say these were the early days, some of the things we quickly put in place to ensure we could travel the journey that we are traveling on.
So the territorial heads, are they the territorial heads for CASA or territorial heads for Christ Apostolic Church International? Okay,
so according to the Constitution, we have the national coordinator and then we have regional coordinators. The idea to bring in all the other things was our idea. Now, the territorial apostles I'm talking about are the traditional territorial apostles in our church. And the wisdom behind this was that every region falls somehow, all the chapters fall somehow within some territories. And we didn't want to be an island Okay, we believe in the wisdom God has given our territorial heads, and we thought it would be good to, one, introduce ourselves, and then two, to hear from them how we can proceed with the work that had been given to us. So in short, what I'm saying is that we identified all the relevant stakeholders, and then we engaged them to learn from their experience and to hear from their wisdom.
And you see, this was very necessary and important because when we said the whole thing was being coordinated by one person, these apostles had stepped in the gap and they were managing Casa on their own at the various regional levels. So when you come as a new manager, what you need to do is to get in touch with those who were managing it on your behalf. Okay. They update you as to what is going on. So I remember very well, for us to even be able to know the number of branches that we had, we did it through these consultations that you spoke about. And at this stage, I really want to salute our territorial apostles, all the apostles that we have. In fact, they've been very instrumental. You know, usually you hear people criticize them and they don't support, and what it's not true. They've been very instrumental. They got us all the number of branches that we had. These will tell you, oh, we have 1 year. Some people came to me from this side. So it is true that we managed to collate the number of branches that we have. But as we speak currently, we have a quality database that tells you all the number of branches that we have and the contact people and what have you. I also want to say that similar consultation was also held at the national level. We had time with our apostles, our national executive council led by the chairman, Apostle George Yeboah. In fact, they have been very, very supportive, very, very instrumental. Let me say that all the successes that we gained, I don't know, be because of their support. They stood by us, they supported us financially, prayer-wise, directions, and what have you. And when we sat with them, the ideas they even shared with us, the guidelines. So we knew that certainly we were going to succeed. Okay. And by the grace of God, it's been very good. It's been very, very good. We've been able to do a lot of things. So let me say that their financial policy that they have with us is also one of the things that we should praise and say that God has moving. Because whatever we want to do, you just need a proposal. Once it's a convincing proposal, you are sure that finances are ready for you.
Yeah, sure.
So, Papas, God bless you.
God bless you.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that when you assumed office, the members were not that encouraging. How did you address that issue?
Okay. I don't know whether... Thank you.
Okay, so, like I said earlier, the popularity of Casa on campus. I mean, and the truth is, if you go to Legon, you see Casa. If you go to KNUST, UDS, there are some traditional UPSA. Easily you can see Casa, but it was more to do with how to get Casa all across. Okay, so I think the main challenge we inherited, which has been there, is because we're not that popular. Is that okay? We are not popular. Most of the chapters that started came out of denominations. I remember KNUST, I'm told, came out of, I think, APUSA and AGCM. So our members were there, but because Casa in quotes wasn't popular. So the challenge is that we don't have most of our presence on the various campuses wasn't encouraged. That's why we didn't have a lot of members. So one of the things we have sought to do was to at least increase our visibility on the campuses, to use our various existing chapters, the regional coordinators, our alumni, and all the stakeholders that matter to ensure that the presence of Casa is noticed on the various campuses that we have. And how did we do that? We did that through social media. I remember there was a time we would chronicle all the campuses when they are reopening. We would have some sort of flyers or content to show that we have a chapter on this campus, we have a chapter on that campus. And through that, people were reaching us and say, okay, I am a student here, and we'll share them the numbers of the leaders there and things like that. So I would say the first thing we did was to tackle our lack of visibility. And so far, I think we have made some progress.
So the numbers are now encouraging.
Yeah.
Oh yes, if you give Reverend chance, he'll give you a pie chart, a
I
bar
would have
graph,
to hear it.
Really?
and all
Okay.
that of the numbers, the chapters we have now, and where we were, and all that. Yeah.
Okay, so like just to add to what he said, I think I want to use 3 schools as a case study. Tech, for instance, Tech was doing very well, but the monitoring on them was not as it should be. So you realize that few people hijack the group, and they run the group based on what they knew. You understand? So if the person happens not to be as he's supposed to be, then it means that the group is not going to. So it will grow and then stand still. Then sometimes it comes down. Yeah. So what we sought to do, addition to the visibility content that he spoke about, is to give them a quality monitoring, vet all their programs, make sure that programs that they are running are very quality, because we consider church as a product that you are selling to the audience or people on campus. So if the product is not quality, if you can find a CAC member who will not come to church. But now if you take Tech, we run one of the best programs on campus, best that competes with any other denomination on campus. We have one of the best choir, one of the best choreography group, Potter's Sport, right? Yeah, shout out to you, Potter's Sport. Yeah. So Tech now, we can compete with any group on campus, and now the numbers there encouraging. We can run a service of 400, 500, 380. The least we run is 390, 380. You understand? So this is because we are competitive. We don't need to plead like, please come to Casa. No, we are forced to reckon with. You understand? And it cuts across the campuses. Winneba, we have fantastic team. Almost all the best singers you have on campus are from Casa. We have one guy from Winneba campus who really was the second runners-up for a program on TV3. So it tells you the kind of people that we
amazing.
have. Yeah. So gradually, we and there are a series of programs that we are turning out, we are rolling out, and the revival is also one thing that we should talk about. There's huge revival out there that is shaping people's awareness and perception about Casa. So now, if you hear the name Casa, there is a standard, there's a kind of image that comes to your mind, and that is what we want to sustain. So these are some of the things that have been able to retain or increase the membership. You not go to Casa and see any mediocratic things, no. And we have standardized programs. If we are going for prayer program, we know this prayer program, music program, and the quality of the prayer, the quality of the music. In fact, that is why we are winning a lot of associates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So were there some particular challenges you faced when you were trying to address your problems? Any particular challenges worth mentioning?
Okay. So one that is still very fresh in mind is the resistance from some of the chapter presidents. Yeah. You know, when you have a president who is God-fearing, the group certainly will succeed. But we took over and we met a group of presidents who have seen space, okay, a vacuum, and they were operating within it. They were extorting the group. They were misusing the opportunities that they had. Oh. So when we were coming in, now to bring in quality monitoring, supervision, make sure that things are done the right way, certainly it was going to be a challenge because they were not going to allow that. But by the grace of God and with the support of some of the coordinators, we managed the ego of these presidents and the resistance and what have you, till we got to a common ground. And by the grace of God, when they were completing, I think they were very happy with us. And they, in fact, most of them are still around supporting us. They are those that we are using for the various pre-tertiary institutions.
Yeah, and so the resistance, I think we expected it somehow, but in some cases it was overwhelming.
Yes.
Yes, I think we
How
underestimated.
overwhelming?
Yeah, I think we underestimated some of the resistance we received, and so the thing is, if you have a car that has been running at a very high speed or moving very effectively, and all of a sudden it's stuck, to get that car moving, you need a lot of energy, you need a lot of pressure. And I think that is what we sought to do right from the onset. Casa has had its name before. Yeah, Casa has had its name before. And because things, some way, somehow, and you could refer to things like Casa Mission, Congress, which for about 4 or 5 years we had not organized.
What is Casa Congress?
Okay, I'm sure these are things we can go into. But Casa Congress is basically like the largest conference for Casarians, okay, the Casa fraternity. Okay, and these were things that were like a way to whip up, you know, the interest and the passion and for a long time. But what I'm trying to say is that because things had been dormant a bit owing to COVID and a few other things, we need to put in a lot of pressure. And you know, human beings, sometimes, like he was saying, we are opposed to change. If this is how I know to do the thing, this is how I've been doing it, and especially if they have a lot of freedom to do it, and now you come and start putting brakes. You get it? Okay, you can't go this way. You have to. There were controversial decisions we had to take, like the people who come to minister on our various campuses. Okay, that was one hell of a challenge. I'm sure maybe time didn't allow Reverend to go into it. One thing he's so passionate about. Okay, so these were the challenges. The resistance was the main challenge we faced, because we're bringing on board a structure, new ideas, and better ways to do things.
Okay, all right, viewers, this is still Casa Move. We'll be back after a short break. Welcome back. This is still Casa Move on Kasi TV. Proudly brought to you by Red Butterfly Millinery. Before the break, you were talking about some of the challenges that you faced. Apart from the resistance from some of the chapter presidents, what were some of the other challenges that you would like to mention?
Okay, I'll just start this and then Reverend will finish it, because I know he was so passionate about this, and rightly so. So one other challenge we faced had to do with the kind of people who mounted our pulpits. Is that okay? The people who preached at the various chapters that we had. Because there was no structure, okay, it was like an open field. It was like a city without wall, and anybody could just barge in for various reasons, people with various ulterior motives, very selfish ambitions and all that. So I'm just introducing this. I know someone who can talk about it better, and he will tell us about the issue with preachers. I mean, who we thought was a big challenge. Yeah. So Reverend.
Oh, okay, so like he said, I was thinking he was going to finish it. Yeah, so you know, we are the first Pentecostal church in this country.
Proud of that.
Yeah, very proud of that. But unfortunately, we had a situation whereby our campus ministry had become breeding grounds for the formation of new churches. And if I may explain, so anyone who wanted to begin a new ministry would quickly affiliate himself with Casa. And then once he gets the stage to minister 1, 2, 3, he will pull our people straight and start his church. So when this is also one of the things that was draining our people. In fact, it even affected the church itself as a body. So as we sit here, we can count the number of great young men who are into ministry and were taken out of our church. So when we came, we said, no, this shouldn't happen. And the dangerous thing about this whole thing was the fact that most of them were also preaching a message that were contrary to our message. So for instance, we have a situation whereby somebody went to UCC and preach that once saved, forever saved. I know you know that within our tenants, we have the possibility of falling from the grace.
That's right.
So it is not true that once saved, forever saved. But that is the belief of some people. We can't fight them for that. But as far as we are concerned, it is not once saved, forever saved. So it was difficult for some of us to understand why we could give our stages to people to preach such kind of messages. We have a situation whereby somebody went to one of our branches, had a communion service with them, and a lady couldn't sleep. So it tells you that this is not an ordinary communion service. You understand? Yeah, so there was the need to have a firm policy, a firm arrangement to stop people from, especially people who are not our members, from getting access to our pulpits on the various campuses. I remember when we started this, unfortunately, one of our coordinators couldn't even stand how we wanted to go by this. He have to unfortunately leave us. Oh. Yeah, so it was not a popular decision, but it was something that, like my colleague said, I was really passionate about, and like I did indicate earlier on, not only myself, I had lots of the executive council members also having similar mindsets. And in fact, I remember when I discussed it with the chairman of the church, Apostle Jajewa one day said he has had a cause to also complain about it several times. And the general secretary was also one person who stood against this and said, no, we cannot do this. So I knew that, yes, it was not going to be popular. But once it was right, that is what leadership stands for. Right. Yeah, so we went all out. And I remember my president for Lagos. he was, in fact, he would go to town, and the other pastors who used to come there will see him, and they will be insulting him. You know, they didn't understand what was going on. So they felt he was the one driving them away. You see, so it also met a lot of resistance. Others felt we were not doing the right thing. In fact, some of the alumni got angry. They got very angry why we are saying. And others also didn't understand what we were trying to do. So when they sold the message out there, the alumni, some of them felt maybe we said they shouldn't come around again. So, oh, Charlie, it was not easy.
So right now, do you regret those decisions, or you're very good?
In fact, you see how happy I am.
You're happy you took those decisions.
Sure. And you see, one thing about me as a person, and I thank God that I have coordinators that understands leadership, is that when you are doing the right thing, don't expect people to necessarily praise you. You have to be firm as a leader. And in fact, this thing, it took a lot of time. We have to sack some presidents. Yes, we have to sack some presidents. That is how serious it was, just to make sure that this thing is done. And as we speak currently, we have a lot of benefits out of that, and people are now praising what we have done, and other groups are also trying to learn from us.
And if I may just add, so the narration, as he said, at a point in time, some of the alumni thought this was an affront against them, or an affront to them, that, oh, we wouldn't want them to come in. On the contrary, since we started implementing this policy, it has opened the floodgates for our alumni. Because you see, gone were the days we used to say that, oh, let me use the local parlance. So, ope asofa be preachy or campus. Yes. So wait, if you want preachers from our local church to come to campus, you don't get any. But we have come to understand that the narration or the narrative has changed completely. We have young men and ladies out there who are on fire for God, who are people of integrity, who have the word, they are full of the Spirit of God, they are great preachers, some with magnificent prophetic ministry, teaching ministry, and all that, counseling and all that. So through this policy, we have been able to identify alumni, members who have been part of us and today are doing various things for the church too. Now have access to our, because at the point, look at this fine preacher. he was denied access to some of the chapters. He was denied access. Even when some people were proposing that, let's invite such a person, somebody would say, no. I have some pastor be somewhere. He's more powerful. And they will never let him. So to our dear alumni, we just want to let you know that we are for you, and you are for us, and we are doing this together, and we are happy to count on your support to get you to come to campus to help us mount our purpose and to be a blessing to the people that we are serving. Before I keep quiet, I just want to talk. I think we have not really talked about finances. Reverend has.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that because you mentioned something about your financial state when you first assumed office. So I want to know what your financial state is now.
Ask this one.
Reverend.
Wow, okay. So if I may start from when we took over. Like I said, Reverend Sayal was doing very well. But you know, we are working with guys who are intellectuals. So if an intellectual wants to steal you, he has thousands of ways he will do it. Okay, so most of the chapters were not actually opening up, and we have situations where unfortunately our brothers and sisters will connive with the various treasurers and financial secretaries, and they use the money for all sort of things that we cannot talk about here. Okay. So in short, there was a certain level of financial misappropriation in the system, and it was widespread, very widespread. And I don't know whether, I think the COVID also played a part, to the extent that when we took over, none of the chapters could account for their finances. In Legon, we had a terrible case. It is within his region, and I was thinking he was going to talk about it. We had a terrible case, and the guy even went out saying that we owe him. And if you see what he did and the extent that he went, some of them are not for cameras.
Oh, okay.
So yes, and when it happens that way, the group suffers, because you can't sponsor your programs, and even if you can sponsor, you can't bring it to that level whereby you can have a quality program. So it made CASA very unattractive. I may also say that at the national level, it was difficult moving as a coordinator or coordinators, because the funding was not forthcoming as it is expected to be. But for that one, we thank God for the life of these executive council members. Yes. Every month there is a budgeted amount allocated to the National Secretariat for my movement as a national coordinator, and that is why I can travel to all the regions every weekend, spend weeks, spend days, trying to sometimes plant branches on my own, because I don't need to think about money. And even if you go and the money is not enough, the administrator is just a call away. Yes, we just call, and either you self-finance and come, we pay it back to you. But it used not to be so.
Yeah.
Yes, it wasn't easy getting funding for CASA activities. It was some few schools. I think Legon, and then probably Tech and UCC. But now what we have been able to do is to make sure that there's a level field grounds for everyone. So as we speak currently, we just paid a rent for Takrady de Tega University.
Okay.
And I can't quote the figure here, but it's huge. Just to make sure that we get them a quality place of worship, so that they can compete. They don't need to struggle to worship. You understand? We did same for UDS. We have our own place of worship in Ho, we have one in Wa, we have one in Nyankpala, our own place of worship. So go there, this Casa building. So you can see that now funding has improved. But right from the chapter level, we've been able to block some leakages, make sure that now that the leakages have been blocked, there can be a free flow of funds to the chapters. Otherwise, the funds that flows there might be another issue. And let me also be quick to add one other challenge that needed immediate attention. And I tell people that it was coordination. Coordination. And for me, coordination is about communication. Communication. So even up to date, then last week, this Sunday, we went to Ada. Ada is just a stone throw. We didn't know there was a branch there.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. So most of the chapters, it was like individuals were trying to put up their own efforts to put up CASA in the various regions, communities, and what have you. But you needed a system that can bring them on board, even if you are not there. And such a system is what we try to do. That is to put together teams in the various regions. Put teams in the various zones. So that even if I sit in Accra, and I don't know what is going on in Upper East, Robert can call me, or somebody in Pusiga can call Robert, the regional coordinator there. Say, Elder, we have started CASA in Pusiga. So if it will take 24 hours for me to get to Pusiga, Robert can get to Pusiga within an hour or two.
That's right.
You understand? Secondly, if Robert cannot go, the Center of Excellence in Upper East, right, can easily bring them on board. So this is something that I think the structures that we kept in place have been able to deal with.
Okay. All right. Our time is almost up, but before I let you go, I want to hear something memorable that you experienced while on campus. Anything memorable?
Please
from
ask me.
Casa Elder.
Wow. I think there are quite a few. There are quite a few, so I don't know which one to pick up. But I think the very first was our maiden missions. Okay, so missions is after a semester sort of outreach by the students, okay, to a location. It was the very first time I had embarked on such an activity, and it was fantastic. I think this was somewhere in the Ashanti region. The name is not coming forth easily, yeah, but I mean, this was the first time after school. You're not going home. You are going to camp somewhere, and the conditions are not too pleasant. Okay, it's like you have to restrain yourself and abide by some conditions which ordinarily, but all in the name of going out to win souls. I think this was the first experience was quite memorable for me.
Okay, what about you, Reverend?
Wow. Okay, so I have two. The very good one, the nice one, and the ugly one. So when we started CASA on campus, I think there's an area called Kambali. That is a Muslim-dominated area, and that is where most of the private hostels can be found. So on this date, we went for church service, and we're fellowshipping in an Islamic school. Unknown to us, the headmaster had been warned that we shouldn't fellowship there again, and we didn't also know. So you were there, myself, one lady called Millicent. I think Millicent is still around. So these guys just intruded the place, and they made noise. They tried to beat us.
Really?
We were just four, so we have to plead, and the situation was so scary. You know, these our brothers, they came in with stakes and what have you, but God was with us.
Oh, we thank God.
So that is a not nice one.
Yes, but it's okay.
Okay, viewers, all too soon we have come to the end of today's discussion. This program was proudly brought to you by Red Butterfly Millinery. My name is PAULA Benji Anum, and I will see you same time next week. Enjoy the rest of our programs.